The CEO's espresso machine was hissing again. Not the cute cafe hiss, the something is very wrong and this will be my problem hiss. I was on my knees behind the server rack, flashlight clenched between my teeth, wondering why the hell a $9,000 espresso machine was wired into the same breaker as the East Wing HVAC. Oh right, because I was the only one who ever noticed things like that. I'd learned that particular detail back during the great latte-induced power outage of 2011. Nobody documented it. Nobody ever documented anything. Except me. That morning started the same way the last 21 years had. Me, Miranda Jean Harkins, unlocking the office door at exactly 6:47 a.m., 23 minutes before official open. Same original brass key they handed me in 2002. I oiled it twice a year. You'd be amazed how many executives assume a lock is broken if it squeaks, same way they assume common sense should come pre-installed. The cleaning crew had left gum in the sink. Someone from product abandoned sushi in the mini-fridge. The kombucha exploded again. Not my job, never in my contract, but guess who scraped fermented seaweed off a smart fridge with a laminated calendar and a plastic spatula? Yep, me. Some days I felt like the human version of duct tape, holding everything together, invisible until something broke. The CEO still thought I was reception, even though my business card said facilities and operations manager, and my inbox held 3,200 unread, urgent emails from people who couldn't change a toner cartridge to save their crypto portfolios. Then came Haley. Fresh out of grad school, all teeth and buzzwords. She once asked me where the Ethernet plugged in. I told her, in the wall, same place your job performance is headed. She didn't laugh. Funny how that works. I didn't go to fancy schools, didn't wear blazers that cost more than my truck, but I knew that building. Not like a property manager knows it, like you know an old dog. Which pipes moaned before rain, which thermostat panicked at 70% humidity, which fuse box creaked if you opened it too fast. I kept that company breathing through floods, power surges, and 3 CEOs worth of bad decisions. And they forgot. No bonus, no recognition, no thank you notes. Once, after unclogging the women's restroom because someone dropped a badge in it, don't ask, the VP of Finance handed me a half-eaten protein bar and said, "You're a saint, Marcy." My name is Miranda. I stopped correcting them. That lease, the one that let them occupy prime downtown real estate at 1/10 market rate, I negotiated it, back when the company had 5 employees, 1 laptop, and a fax machine held together with chewing gum. The founder asked me to co-sign. I didn't. I signed the entire lease myself. They're like family, he said. Yeah, families forget who pays the bills. Then came Monday. HR sent an all-staff email titled Strategic Realignment Opportunities. That's corporate for someone's about to lose their job. My calendar pinged at 5:58 p.m. Subject, quick sync, HR. No context,
Chapter
no warning.
5. The Deputy Who Knew Too Much. Emma told Ethan about a man named Tom Riley, a former deputy sheriff who was the last person to see Sarah alive. They found him living alone in a small cabin outside town. His face looked tired, his eyes filled with regret. When Ethan showed him the letter, Tom whispered, "I tried to help her, but I was too late. The man who made her disappear, he still lives in this town, and he still has power." Before Tom could say the man's name, a truck's headlights flashed through the window. The engine roared. The truck sped straight toward the cabin. Ethan and Emma jumped out of the way. But Tom couldn't move fast enough. The truck hit him and disappeared into the darkness. Tom Riley was gone, and the truth died with him. Chapter 6. The Name in the Shadows. Ethan and Emma searched the cabin and found a list of names. Most were crossed out. Only one name was written clearly at the top. Mayor Henry Caldwell. The same man who had been mayor 20 years ago. The same man still in power today. Ethan whispered, He did it. Sarah knew something about him, and he silenced her. Emma nodded slowly. We have to expose him. But Willow Creek wasn't done warning them. Chapter 7. The Kidnapping. The next evening, Ethan returned home to find the door smashed open. Emma was gone. On the table was another note. Stop digging or she disappears next. Now Ethan had no choice. He had to finish what Sarah started. He had to face the man who had controlled the town with fear for 20 years. Chapter 8. The Final Confrontation. Ethan went to the abandoned factory at the edge of town, the same place Sarah mentioned in her diary. Inside the factory, he found Emma tied to a chair, and Mayor Caldwell standing behind her. Caldwell said calmly, "Sarah didn't listen, Tom didn't listen, and now you won't listen either." Ethan secretly pressed the live stream button on his phone and said, "Tell me what you did to Sarah." For the first time in 20 years, Henry Caldwell confessed. He admitted everything: how Sarah discovered his illegal operations, how she tried to warn the town, how he silenced her, and the whole town heard it live. Police sirens filled the night. Caldwell was arrested, Emma was freed, and Sarah Miller finally received justice. After the arrest, the people of Willow Creek gathered to honor Sarah's memory. The town felt lighter, as if a long, dark shadow had finally lifted. Ethan and Emma stood together at the old bridge, watching the river flow peacefully. Emma said softly, "You saved this town." Ethan replied, "No, Sarah did. She never stopped fighting." The wind blew gently, and for a moment, it felt like Sarah was finally at peace. If you like this story, please like, comments, and subscribe our YouTube channel.
People assume revenge ends with noise. Courtrooms, shouting, victory speeches. They're wrong. Real endings happen quietly, usually when nobody's watching anymore. 3 months after the eviction, the city forgot. The headlines moved on, the comment sections found new villains. The internet devoured another CEO. That's how it works. But buildings remember. The call I didn't expect. It came on a Thursday afternoon. Unknown number. Local. I almost didn't answer. "Ms. Harkins?" a woman said. Her voice was steady, careful. "This is the county clerk's office." I sat up straighter. "We're doing a historical compliance review on several downtown properties," she continued. "Your name appears a lot." I smiled. Apparently, when the company collapsed into emergency relocation mode, someone finally asked the question no one had bothered to ask for 21 years. Why is everything under Miranda's name? Utilities, insurance, maintenance records, permits, all of it. Turns out the city wanted to honor long-term contributors to downtown redevelopment and accidentally uncovered the truth. She paused. "We wanted to ask if you'd be willing to speak at the council meeting next month." I laughed. "About what?" "About institutional knowledge," she said, "and how cities survive because of people no one sees." I almost said no. Old habits die hard. Invisible people don't usually step into spotlights. But then I remembered Haley's smile, the folder, the way they slid my life across a table like an inconvenience. So I said yes. The night, everything clicked. The council chamber smelled like dust and old ambition. Microphone too low, lights too bright. I wore the same gray cardigan. I didn't bring notes. I didn't need them. "I worked in one building for 21 years, I began. I wasn't the smartest person in the room. I wasn't the loudest. But I knew where everything was buried. Not bodies, just responsibility." A few laughs. I kept going. I watched companies rise on buzzwords and fall on assumptions, and every time the collapse started the same way. I leaned forward. They forgot the quiet people. The room went still. The ones who show up early, stay late, fix things before they break, hold systems together without titles or applause. I swallowed. When you remove those people without understanding what they carry, you don't just lose staff, you lose memory. Silence. Then applause. Not loud, but real. What happened after? The city issued new compliance guidelines. Companies were required to document operational dependencies, facilities, utilities, leases, real documentation, not vibes. A few executives complained. Good. Bloompulse invited me back again, this time not for tea, but to consult. I declined the title, accepted the REIT. The last message. One night, scrolling aimlessly, I saw it. A LinkedIn post from the former CEO. Long, emotional, carefully vague. Leadership taught me humility. Sometimes the people you overlook are the ones holding everything together. No tag, no name, but I knew. I closed the app. Where I am now. I volunteer at the local trade school, teach a class called How Buildings Actually Work. The students listen because I tell them the truth, that power isn't about control, it's about leverage, and leverage comes from knowing things other people ignore. At home, the brass key still hangs on the wall, not as a trophy, as a reminder that loyalty without respect is just slow self-erasure. And silence? Silence is only weakness if you don't know when to break it. The last line. They fired the woman who held the keys, so she locked the door behind her. And for the first time in decades, she walked away with everything intact.